agree to that. I'd like to welcome you all to another edition of In the Bleachers. This is week 5 of the NFL. And as we tape this, it's October 2nd, and our Patriots are 4-0. I'm happy to be joined by my two co-hosts, Coach Bob Wallace and Rich Flera from ESPN fame. Okay, gentlemen, we weren't here last week because we were all caught up with Merrimack Rocks, which I have to say was an astounding success. And I want to thank the Shots Coaches Band for doing an outstanding job. And I want to thank ESPN New Hampshire, Rich Flera's employer, for doing a great job being the platinum sponsor and getting it all done and doing advertising and making the pocket packed.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. I mean, I know you were at a wedding. Actually, most of my family was at a wedding, so I couldn't even be there. So can you imagine if, because there was about, 200-300 people there. So if there was another wedding too. So you figure all those people added on to the thousands that showed up.
Yeah,
this was just a Saturday.
A real number is we think there was about 3,000 if you count from the beginning to the end.
Fall
because
festival in the Rocks.
Well, none of the festival had their own several thousand of their own. I'm saying we counted there were 800 at the Clydesdale,
right,
and during those 4 hours they all cycled through. And at the fireworks there was at least 2,000 standing there.
Yeah, I heard it was one dynamite fireworks show. I'm sad I missed it.
Well, we'll be doing it again next year. And hopefully the town.
Are you making an announcement here, Dave?
I've been saying we're doing it, and all I hope is the town springs and gets some electricity there, so we don't have any more damaged equipment. Because I guess you did have an amplifier.
Well, you take a hit for the team, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean it would be nice to have some plugs instead of you know. But with that said, Dave, I gotta just while we're talking about the Rocks, it was one of the greatest days I've had as a Merrimack citizen. I was really proud all day of the town, of just the little niche that we've carved out here in America. I mean, we had Americana walk into the park.
The Clydesdales.
The Clydesdales there. Some kids that had never seen them with their dads and grandfathers that hadn't seen them in a long time. There was some just great moments.
Fireworks. I mean, really, talk about Americana.
Phenomenal fireworks.
Yeah.
I don't know who.
And then we honor Tim Gibson. And we honor Pete Gadd. I mean, how can you really ask for more in I won't say we're a small town, but Midtown America.
Yeah, not small anymore. Not after something like that. That was a major league event, and I got to give you a lot of credit, Dave. Thanks a lot.
I appreciate it. And again, it took a lot of us. And I will give one last thank you before we move forward. But how about Donnie Warner coming up with the Clydesdales?
The Budman.
Talk about drawing an inside straight.
Clutch performer.
Yeah.
The coach pulled in a clutch performance for the town.
I wouldn't expect anything less from a fine gentleman such as himself.
Not from the Budman himself. No way.
All right. With that being said, let's get going, boys. Let's get on our bicycles. Okay. We had a game against the Falcons, and I have to be truthful. I missed the entire second half because I had to be up at 2 a.m. the next morning for work.
We probably saw the end then. I think that's what it was. It was getting over.
So I'm going to more or less just go to you guys with more questions. And the first question is, I thought it was still a win-ugly performance. Your thoughts?
Well, look, anytime you lose anyone as instrumental as Vince Wilfork is to that defense at the beginning of the game and then not let morale break but kind of build morale around that and persevere from that. Because, look, that could crush a lot of teams. I remember last year when Aaron Hernandez went down at home against Arizona, it's like the whole sideline was deflated and they just weren't themselves. And that can really affect a team negatively. But it seems like they kind of stepped up their game. Aqib Talib stepped up in a big way. He's having a huge season right now.
Well, to your point, though, how about the playoff game when Talib went out?
Yeah, exactly.
Same thing.
Secondary just looked...
Big deflation.
Yes.
I agree with that.
So to see Vince go down, to your point.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Really, it says a lot for this defense.
Well, you know what I
almost
think
a defining moment, I would say.
And I'm going to go back to, where I think we're going to look back later and say this is where this team began to mold and gel. Brady took a lot of heat for melting down with those receivers.
Young receivers.
But I think once they all got it straight, they all said, we're in this together, we're going to have good times and bad times, and we're going to work as a team. And I really think that's what you saw when Wilfork went down.
Well, same kind of in the line of thinking. Something like that could really affect a young player negatively, and the young players seem to respond in a positive way and wanted to work harder to get that much more on the same page with Brady. It seems like this team obviously has great leadership. A lot of people question that about Brady, but I don't think there's any question about it now that this team's able to, respond from adversity like losing a Vince or having their what called camaraderie called out after that game and stuff like that. They've really responded to all of the negative stuff that has happened all season long, and they're 4-0. I mean, we can win ugly all we want, but 4-0 at the end of the day is 4-0. And holding an offense like that to 13, I know they scored a couple late, but it was 13 points in the red zone. They were 1 of 6. Atlanta was in the red zone. That is great red zone defense, and it's kind of the old adage that Belichick does: bend don't break.
Yeah.
Use the end zone, give up some big play, and then use the end zone as your ally, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, no, overall, I think it went well, and now I'd like to begin touching step by step. What do we think of our receivers?
Well, I think to bolt on to what Rich was saying, I mean, the young kids have stepped up, and I think that's a lot to do with Brady's, little crack the whip at first, carrot stick. I mean, these are young guys, I mean, younger than he was when he got in the league. And, now with Dobson having an injury, I guess he'll probably not make, it's Wednesday when we film this, so we don't know who's going to be on the field Sunday. But I think you see now Boyce probably stepping up, because there's a kid that I think they just need to get the ball to a little bit more.
He's got playmaking ability.
Blazing speed. So now you see maybe that kid step up for Dobson. Obviously, and this kid called it all on Tompkins. I mean, you called it in the first game of preseason. You called him out. I got to give you credit. This kid has been nothing but dynamite. I mean, I'm glad I picked him up in my draft. I still got him on my fantasy team. Everyone's laughing at me.
Yeah, and look, and we're still without Gronkowski and Amendola.
Well, we don't
and then
have,
when
we
they
don't
come
have a tight
back,
end,
well, exactly. You got the pride of Maine, Matt Mulligan, out there catching a touchdown. No one's even
wasn't
heard
that
of him
great?
before.
I know, wasn't that cool?
That was awesome.
I was awake to see that.
And
I heard Maine collectively.
There was a roar from the whole state.
roar
You
from
could
the
hear
band.
it from the living room. But look, I mean, that just means this team will be even better. And I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel like maybe last year and the year past, we were playing good football towards the end, but we kind of hit our peak maybe too early, and we're kind of trending downward a little bit the last couple years. I feel like this team could be the opposite and like those first Super Bowl team and be ascending upward and get better and better and better as the year goes on, especially offensively when they get all the pieces back. And I think this team will just be better as the year continues.
Yeah, great point. I don't know what it was that prompted Belichick to really accentuate the picks, and the general focus of their monies and everything on the defense, like it was back when we were putting up Super Bowls. But however we got there, we're there, and now you're right. Now you've got that young and growing offense. It's only going to get better as time goes on. And you got this D that seems to be able to, bend, not break. And they use that field, absolutely collapse the middle, and then they shorten that field up, and they play a lot of man up to that, and then they zone.
Guys, I want to touch a second on the running game, and then let's spend a little time talking about defense and what they're going to do to fill the Wilfork void. So if you can touch on the running game, Rich.
Well, I thought the running game was spectacular this past week. They really need to do it. I remember talking about it on my radio show on Saturday. The key to beating a good offense like Atlanta is keeping them on the sidelines. Nice, long, sustained drive. They tried to get the running game going in the first couple weeks, just never really got the wheels. First week, Ridley's fumbles, they kind of went away from it. The second week was the Jets game. They just never really got it going in the rain. Sorry. And then this past week, you saw the committee guys get it. Ridley, Blount had a big game. Bolden had it. Even Ridley had his spots. So I think you're just going to ride the hot hand as it goes. But I think any one of these guys can get it done because the offensive line is starting to play really good. And that's something the line loves. Get the running game going, be able to smash guys in the mouth. They like running the football because it gets them going, it gets everybody working. Then you build off the play action, and then it's not as one-dimensional as Brady's trying to throw the ball to those guys. And you can hit the plays up top like the Tompkins play off of the play action.
And this is all without a tight end to pull any of this coverage off the wide receivers. So you put Gronk back in there. Now you have to cover him. You've got guys that are third, fourth stringers out there, and you got the guy from Maine, but then Hooman, man, I'm going to mangle that name.
Hooman.
Yeah, Hooman. We've got the Hooman group, So you figure Gronk comes back. That's a huge addition, really. It's more than just him because it's also releasing a little bit more of the people you got on the outside.
I saw a statistic they had on ESPN or whatever. It wasn't local; it was a national thing. And I heard the number and I said, "Holy cow!" We all know Gronk is good because we just see him. We don't measure him; we see him. They said that the last 5 years, 78% of his targets are receptions.
Oh, as far as proficiency,
when he's targeted, 78% of the time he comes down with the That's crazy stuff.
It was Mark Schwerth. I saw that on ESPN.
Yeah.
Teddy Bruschi and Schwerth was bringing that
And the
up.
percentage of those catches that are touchdowns is probably pretty
Probably
high
high
as
too,
well.
yeah, right?
But imagine 8 out of every 10 times you decide you're going to throw a Gronkowski, you know he's going to come down with the ball.
It's kind of. I mean, that's the general rule of thumb: is if you touch it, you should catch it in the pros.
Yeah.
And that, he lives by that. I mean, real. How many of those catches do you remember him just fingertipping it in? You know, and then basically gathering it before he hits the ground.
But I'm saying if you went through other numbers, you're not going to. I mean, a wide receiver, you're not going to see quite those numbers. I think that's just a crazy number.
Well, not only that, but as good as Human and the pride of Maine, Matt Mulligan, have been at tight end, Gronk's a great run blocker as well, and people forget that. So the run game will be that much better when he comes back as well, because he sets the edge, and he can one-on-one block some of these premier defensive ends and then run those stretch plays, which we've kind of had trouble doing. Last game, we had success in between the tackles, but they really haven't had too much success on those outside
and
runs.
that's really like a blunt run would be
exactly.
said, right? So what a great point. That's
Is he
going to
going to
bring back
play
a running
this
game.
week? That's the question I have.
Again, on a Wednesday, I haven't heard anything that he was the same as. He'll probably go questionable right up to the game. You can do
I'm
that,
going to I'm going to guess no.
Because, Coach, no offense, you're the
None
reason he
taken.
hasn't played.
Yeah, I know. I went on the record saying that I heard
well,
Belichick
went on the
say
record.
it.
You were at the
guarantee that,
Ken
I think.
Steakhouse.
Yep.
You overheard Belichick. It was a done deal.
Yep.
And then you know Belichick, he ain't going to put up with that. So he said point blank, I am not making Coach look good.
Yep.
If Coach is going to be the guy with the leaks,
he held them out to spite
He's
me.
held them out to spite you,
I
and he won,
understand,
though.
and I feel bad.
He
I
won,
do.
though, which means Gronkowski
Imagine
could be
if he didn't know,
fresher.
I would feel terrible.
But the point
even
is,
worse than I
Coach,
feel already.
you may be responsible for a Super Bowl season because now he's had 2 more weeks. So your big mouth, sir, could be the reason we have 4 and are waiting for 1 more for the phone.
All right, Dave. I'll take that.
Okay, guys, as rosy as things are here,
Yeah, very rosy.
we have the Will Fork situation. Just tell me how we're going to handle it. Again, because the numbers you see when he's not playing, they ain't pretty either.
How we're going to handle it, I want to defer to my man here. But I would like to just comment right up front about something that I saw, and we touched on it a couple of weeks ago, about him not being up to speed and he's not really having a great year so far, and that Kelly was kind of stealing his thunder, and maybe they're not double teaming him. And I went back and I watched a little bit more closely of what he was doing those first couple of games. He hasn't been right from preseason. I watched because he didn't play a couple of preseason games, which, right there tells you something, which I didn't read, and, not like, this is all hindsight, but, so he didn't play a couple of preseason games, little heads up there. In the first 2 games, he had a flat tire, man. That was, even walking off the field, you see him laboring. So, and Vince is the type guy, when he had all the press 2 weeks ago saying, you've lost a step, this and that, now he could have come back and said, hey, buddy, I'm hurt. But he didn't. He just said, I'm just going to keep trying. And he took it out in the field, and the only way he was going to get taken off was on a cart. And guess what? They took him off on a cart.
They took him off on a cart.
And today he had his surgery, by the way, and his wife tweeted it was successful. And, we just wish Vince the best. And huge set of shoes to fill. So now, how are we going to do that? Tough question. I'll go to this guy,
I mean, you can't do it because he's just too irreplaceable. He's one of the 2 guys on the team, if you ask me, before the season, or asked anybody before the season. Him and Tom. And right now, Talib would probably fall in that category as well. But look, he hadn't been doing as Vince would play in the past, but he was still able to draw double teams, clog the middle, and make it hard for teams to run. I mean, we did a good job against C.J. Spiller with having to bounce him everything the outside, where Hightower and some of those guys were waiting for him. So even though he was having down, I can't believe Belichick. He heard us talking about it, and then he calls us out right on cue.
I'm not taking his call, Dave. I'm sorry. I'm not taking his call.
Right on cue. No, he wants to make sure we don't speculate an early return for Vince.
Of course he doesn't.
So, but look, I
You
think
think the guy has better things to do than be watching that live hookup of us that he has leave. He's the only person that sees us live.
I heard we're pumped right into the bunker. We'll have to check that out next time we get some press passes.
The rookie Vallone had a pretty good game. He had a nice swim move.
Villano.
Bill,
it is.
Joe Villano, and then Marcus Fortson, who's been on the practice team for a while, knows the system, knows what to do. Will they be able to beat? No, of course not. Quickly, we should shut down the rumors. I don't think Seymour is coming back. I know people have been speculating.
Glad you brought it up, though.
But people have been speculating, and he shot it down immediately, too.
Yeah, wasn't it personally shot down by him, right?
They asked him straight up, and he said, no way.
Is he playing?
Nope.
So he's not playing.
He said no way. It wasn't just no, it was a no way.
There was some high feelings there.
So I don't think it was a clean
Kyle
departure.
Love? My buddy Kyle Love.
He could. I don't think he's on a team. He was on Jacksonville. He's not on anymore. I know he was
down
battling the diabetes. I don't know if
Popeye's Chicken. I seen him at Popeye's Chicken. Working
Ken
at
Steakhouse,
Pop-
Popeyes,
Look at you
at
guys.
Popeyes
You guys
Chicken.
go in the most unfamiliar places for.
When I saw Kyle Love at Popeye's Chicken, I said, Kyle, what the hell are you doing? He's waiting for the phone to ring. I'm sure he'd leave this place in a minute to come back and play for the Pals.
The other-
he makes a damn
He
good
didn't look
chicken,
happy
Coach.
back. Well,
The
looks
other-
like he's been eating a few too,
Yeah.
but that's okay.
It's all right. As long as you
guy.
stay under 4.
Under
There's a place for you in the NFL.
4 feet or 400?
400.
The other option
4 feet and
would
400.
be to
That's
trade.
a bowling ball, my friend. That's
You could always do a trade like they did last year for Talib. They obviously addressed the fact that they know they needed a cornerback.
Yeah.
They went out and got one. I don't know
we set for picks
who was
this year,
available.
Rich? I know we loaded up
We
a couple
have,
late
yeah,
rounds,
no,
right?
we
got-
have. I mean, we're not
couple
like
of
last
thirds,
year.
I
We
think,
have
right?
all our picks up front. We're not as loaded as we have been in
Yeah.
some years past. But we definitely have enough ammo to give up a 4th or a 5th and take a chance on a guy like they did last year.
Yep.
You've already seen teams start to do it now that the trade deadline has been pushed back and the collective bargaining agreement is different. It allows for teams to trade more. The Ravens just traded for a left tackle from the Jaguars. The Steelers picked up a tackle from the Cardinals. So you're seeing more trade activity. Obviously, the big Trent Richardson trade. So trades are more and more common now in the NFL. So you might want to look at some of those teams, the 0-4 teams, and see if you can scoop a defensive tackle off
and
of
the
there.
fact, too, is to me, the Patriots have a team of interchangeable parts, including Tom Brady, who the year we lost him, we didn't go to the playoffs, but we went 11-5.
Went 5 on the castle, yeah.
It's going to just happen. There's not going to, like I was telling someone that was saying, the season's over. They don't have to play with 10 men. They get to put someone out there to replace them. They'll get it done.
Yeah, it's an amazing scheme.
I remember in 2003 or 2004, you can probably refresh my memory, Ty Law went down and everyone panicked. And then guys like Hank Botit are carrying us all the way to the Super Bowl
Now,
at the cornerback.
Troy Brown was in there
Yeah,
at one
exactly.
point,
That
right?
was the year Troy had to slide in the secondary
Yeah.
because Ty went down.
Are they predominantly playing a 3-4 right now?
I would say 4-3.
I'd say
Okay,
4-3.
so it is
And-
mainly 4-3. Okay,
Yeah,
so
'cause
they
you-
don't have anywhere to go then.
Yeah, because anytime I've seen Chandler Jones come in, it was in a 4-man down
And I would
situation.
not drastically change the scheme schematically just because he went down and tried to switch to a 3-4.
Right.
I've heard that thrown out there. I wouldn't.
Oh no,
I wouldn't.
I would have thought of it if it was the other way around.
Yeah, right.
If they were
right.
doing a 3-4,
To
then
throw
I
the
might
extra
have
body
thought
in.
of-
Yep.
Right,
Middle.
then I might have said
Yep.
maybe, but I'll talk to Bill. Find out he left
Yeah.
a message. So
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
bet he
sure
did.
what that's all about. All right, guys, we've run into our thing. Real quick, are the Dolphins? Are they real, or are they pretenders? Are the Dolphins that we saw get it handed to them this week? Are they the real Dolphins, or the ones that won 3 games before? Are they the real ones?
Well, you asking me?
I'm asking you,
If
Coach.
you're asking me, the Dolphins suck. I hate the Dolphins. And I know, it's probably a little crude for Merrimack TV, but there's a guy out there watching right now named Brian Tenhage.
Yes.
And
Address
I
him.
know because I was texting him during the game because I texted him when they were tied. I think it was 0-0.
Do we have to pay $10? Have we mentioned his name?
Brian, no, he's pretty. No, not the way. No, how we're going to mention his name here? No, I'm sure we're not going to pay him $10.
Okay.
But he thought that they needed to be more aggressive to score more points. But he's a guy that knows his football, and even he's saying that maybe not this year now, and that took a lot because it was at the end of the game. He was probably a little battered down, maybe a little.
Well, you should have seen the vibe in the
many
room. I'm
beers
in
in
there surrounded by Dolphins fans. My friend RJ and Tene's little brother, he corrupted his whole family into being Dolphin fans, and it was just sorrow in the room.
I don't want to hear that word
was
again.
great.
I'm sorry I brought it up.
Don't okay.
But I'll say this though: if Tannehill can clean up his mistakes, he made a lot of mistakes in that football game. I think they do rebound and beat Baltimore this week. I think, and they were without Cameron Wake, the premier pass rusher.
pass
But the bottom line, are we going to have any competition this year taking
Yes.
the division? And who will that be?
I think the Finns.
Okay, so you think they're real?
I think we'll still win, but I think they'll be more. I think they'll be 9-7. I don't know. I think they'll be 9-7. I'm surrounded by Finns fans. I have to
I
hold.
know.
No,
that's
you're not.
terrible.
We are not Finns fans. I don't ever want to hear that
No,
again.
not here, man. But
All right, let's go. I don't want to hear that word again. they again. Bring back the coffin camp. That's the only time I want to see that. All right. Okay, fantasy football. You're up. You got 1 minute.
all right.
Well, first of all, the Kansas City Chiefs, their defense, if they're on your waiver wire, go get them.
Grab 'em.
They're scoring like 20 points a game. I don't know if they're still available. Would have been the move to make last week. They're in Tennessee this week, and they're home against Oakland next week. The next 2 weeks, very attractive for them. Jake Locker for the Titans, obviously down for the next 3 weeks. So Ryan Fitzpatrick, our old friend from Buffalo, loves throwing interceptions. I'm sure he'll throw.
No one throws them better.
No one.
Exactly. Maybe Joe Flacco, but that's about it. But
I'm
definitely
bummed.
pick up the Kansas City Chiefs. Another guy
Defense,
on your
yep.
waiver wire you might want to pick up, who might already be picked up, but he's worth a shot. Phillip Rivers has reemerged to fantasy star. Is he on you? Is he a
grabbed
snake
Phillip
champion?
Rivers because I was given my snake. I was given Cutler. I threw Cutler back because I just think he's a jerk. And
He
I went
is
to
a
the
jerk.
on the pile. On the top of the pile was Phillip Rivers, and I grabbed him. I've
Perfect.
been riding him like a horse.
Yeah,
Guys,
he's-
let's wrap her up.
So do that, and you should be all set. And then a tight end, the Dolphins tight end, Charles Clay, has been pretty steady. If you're having trouble with tight end, pick him up.
I'd never get
I
that
guess
hot
I
up.
guess
but-
he I guess he didn't do a good job. He had a little trouble hearing. We don't ever want to hear that again.
I know,
Okay.
I just threw it in there.
All right, Coach. We got 6 minutes. Bring home the Fab Four.
All right, fellas. So you started talking about one of the games. It's the Baltimore Dolphin game, and that's at Miami. And Dolphins
Coach, you're killing
are
me.
actually
You're
given.
killing
I'm sorry, it's right there. Given 3. So you're already saying that you think Baltimore.
I'm going to go with the Finns, we'll call them here. We won't pronounce the fish. And their lovely new
How
mascot.
about scumbags?
Sure, we'll go with that.
Okay, good. That'll be their
Absolutely
new
fine
name
with that,
from now
David.
on.
Okay.
So. Anyone who throws 5 interceptions against the Bills, like Joe Flacco did, is certainly on. Probably going to throw a few more this week.
All right. So you like the scumbags, and Dave, scumbags -3.
I can't pick the scumbags.
No, so you're gonna go against the. Are you gonna go against the scumbags and take Baltimore?
I have to take Baltimore.
Nice play. All right, great. That went well. Let's go to the second
Who'd you
game.
pick?
What do you think, dude? Don't make me say it. All right. The next game is Philly at the Giants. The Giants really looking horrible this
And
year.
I do appreciate the prep.
Does everyone understand the prep we do on this? That was my lunch plate, by the way, fellas.
He had a nice piece of fish on it for lunch.
I did. From
From the Milford.
Milford Fish
Can we
Fry.
say
Oh,
that?
Yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. Wow. So Philly at the Giants, a divisional NFC East matchup. Both kind of, not having great stellar seasons. I think it'd be a good game to pick. Dave, who do you like? Giants are favored at home by 2, by the way.
I'm going to have to go with Philly.
Yeah.
I don't think they're as bad as we've seen. I think you're going to see a nice comeback game.
Yeah, I agree with that, by the way. I like Philly going in there.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Philly. Who would have thought the NFC East would be as abysmal as it is going into the season? Always traditionally a very good division, but there might be the worst division in football right now.
The
I can't-
Giants lost 38-0
I know.
to the Carolina Panthers.
And then
guys.
followed that up with a 31-7 loss to the Chiefs or something like that.
There's some real problems
So-
here. I don't know if Coughlin's lost the locker room finally and forever, or if this is just but
Well, they're already talking about punching each other in the face. One of the defensive linemen said if
yes.
anyone goes against Coughlin, he'll
Yep.
punch somebody in the mouth and stuff
So you
like
gotta
that.
divide. You can decide locker room.
You know what though? Maybe that's what they need.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Maybe.
yeah.
I mean, I'm going to
Someone
go with
punching
Philly,
Coughlin in the face.
but it's
No, I mean
I call for
dissension.
that.
Some teams work better under chaos.
Yeah,
it's tough to imagine the Giants being 0-5.
yeah.
But I think that's where they're headed.
That's where they're going. That's where I'm picking too. All right, so we got Philly. So definitely the Giants going to cover, guys. If we all go one way, we can't be right. The third game in the Fab Four is Seattle at Indy, which I thought was a really interesting game after what Seattle was able to do in overtime. It's at Indy. Indy is getting 2.5 points at home, given Seattle's really the hottest team in the NFC right now. Dave, what do you think?
I think Seattle's going to smoke them.
Yeah.
I think Sid Luck is going to. I mean Sid Luck. I think they're going to find out that he is going to get.
Andrew Luck.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. So I was thinking of
Sid
Sid
Vicious.
Luck.
You're thinking of Sid
I was
Vicious from
thinking
the
of-
Sex
I was
Pistols.
thinking of Sid Luckman. I was going back 80 years in time. Jeez, talk about where my head's at. Yeah, I was going back to Sid Luckman.
Wrong decade. No
Yeah.
big deal, buddy.
Anyways, I think they're going to take him to school, and he's a great gifted quarterback, and he's going to be a real good player. But I think Pete Carroll's going to have him for lunch.
Yeah. Well, what about you, Rich?
I'm going to go the other way. I think that Seattle's offense has not traveled well. It was the defense that won the game. The offense, I don't even think scored a touchdown last week.
I mean, the
against-
offense has been breaking
And
the record.
the week one, they went to Carolina and won 12-7, so they struggled that week as well. Indianapolis' run game doesn't get enough credit, especially with Trent Richardson now.
Yeah.
They're able to run the ball. The offense is more balanced. Luck's not airing it out 40 times a game.
Yep.
And Luck's athletic ability on the run, he can run the football as well on those bootlegs and stuff like that. I think that they do just enough and win this football game.
Yeah, I like Indy for a lot of those same reasons, in the fact that I think this is the week that they showcase the new running back.
Yep.
I think Richardson runs crazy here against them. So I'll take Indy. Last game, guys, is our game. New England going out to Cincy. Cincy's favored. Wednesday, maybe it's going to change now as we're taping this, but Cincy is favored by 1.5 at home against us.
I want to go on the record, and again, this year, Coach, you made us sign an agreement that me and Mr. Flower would get along. Or you were going to take
think you
the
have.
balls and-
You've been on it. There's been no fisticuffs. I haven't put you guys on the parking lot or
I'm
anything.
going to have to say this.
All right.
10 years we've been doing this show, Coach.
It's 10 now, I know.
This is the 10th year. I
it
have
is.
never picked against the Pats.
Never.
He seems to do it routinely.
I did it last week when
I
the leg
know.
got me.
With that being said, in the future, you don't even need to waste your 10 seconds on me.
So you're
Patriots.
rubber stamp.
I am rubber stamping.
You're like the old Politburo and the
Patriots.
KGB.
I prefer not to have that reference. I prefer to be more put in with Nixon and the wiretapping. But if it has to be, but the bottom
Dave
line
Gate.
is the Patriots.
Yeah, I think this is a ridiculous line. I mean, forget about the numbers. I think they just come in and really spank him. Dalton, just what happened to him?
Yeah, he
I mean,
just
AJ
fell
Green,
off.
I'm glad
They
I had all
couldn't
these
score a
guys last
touchdown
year.
against the Browns.
I'm glad I jettisoned them all. My snake draft that I forgot about. If I had a keeper, I would have kept AJ Green.
Oh yeah, I think everyone did. who had him.
Dalton too, another waste product. All right, so Fab Four, there you go, and you got
And
almost
right now,
30
where
seconds
are
left.
we on the standings for the year?
Standings, this man is up by 2 games over you and 3 games over me. And I'll get we'll be working with our crack staff to have some new graphics next week to be able to show maybe some highlights, standings, and
I mean,
prognostications.
We've been waiting for that for, what was the last time we had it, 5 years ago?
It was 5 years ago, but it takes time. New technology, Dave. It's a whole new world.
Well, with the 11 seconds left, I am going to just thank the people of Merrimack for coming out to their town. Merrimack rocks, and we had one heck of a great night. We'll do it again next year.
All right, brother.
We'll do this again next week.
There you go.
He is a natural. See you next week. Hopefully, we'll be talking 5-0.
All right.